Welcome back to another episode of The Process, where we spend just a little bit of time looking at stats now so we can be just a little bit smarter watching games later. Hey folks, welcome back to episode 5 of The Process. The first prospect up today is Foose Tuoyo from BYU, but let's hear him say his name.
Okay, so everyone knows, and we've heard it a million times, but let's get it right. How do you say your name?
Foose Tuoyo.
Foose
Tuoyo.
Tuoyo. I think we have it.
It seems BYU fans just call him Foose, so I'm going to call him Foose. Foose is a tricky archetype. He's kind of like a defensive lineman playing center. Elite rebounding and nearly elite block rate and percentage. With 25 dunks at 6'6", I assume he's fairly explosive vertically, although I haven't really eye-tested him yet. Passing stats are not great, but I've seen much worse. By the numbers, he's probably a worse prospect than EJ Liddell or Eric Pascal, who were kind of similar archetypes, maybe a bit smaller. Foose is also really old for his class, as he'll be turning 21 in January. Despite being very productive at the college level last season, he's gonna have to suddenly become a great shooter to gain much interest in his draft stock, at least for me. There's simply not enough here to hang your hat on, in my opinion. Will Richard played at Belmont last season, and smartly is transferring to Florida, which just landed rising star Todd Golden as its new head coach. Richard popped up early on my radar last season, as he appears to have good size and a potentially appealing two-way off-guard archetype who checks a bunch of different stat boxes. Steal percentage above 2%? Check. Decent block rate? Check. Guard rebounding? Check. Decent playmaking stats? Check. Potential for shooting? Check. If Richard maintains or even improves his productivity against much stronger competition in the SEC, I have no doubt he'll be on everyone's draft radar this season. Definitely important to watch his shooting development and see how well he fares on defense against better athletes than he faced at Belmont. Also would like to see him have an increased usage on offense. If everything clicks, I think there's some first-round potential here. Jaden Zachary plays for Boston College. He was obviously fairly productive last season and seems somewhat intriguing on the surface after shooting nearly 50% on 109 three-point attempts, having above-average playmaking stats and a steal rate above 3% as well. At 6'2", 200 pounds, I don't have too much concern about his size if everything else checks out. However, there's some issues statistically and otherwise that temper my enthusiasm. His usage rate was under 17%, which is incredibly low for a small guard. This is a bit puzzling and suggests some big deficiency in ball handling or shot creation or both. Zachary also shot 71% on his free throws, which is a bit low if he's truly an elite three-point shooter. It's a fairly small free throw sample, but then again, it's a fairly small three-point sample. I'll need to see much more evidence of shooting next season. I'll also note that Zachary had just 1 dunk and 6 blocks and pretty lackluster rebounding stats, although he did finish just above the 10% defensive rebounding threshold. The last and perhaps most important factor that weighs on his profile is the fact that he's quite old, having transferred from JUCO last season. By the start of the NBA season following the draft, he just turned 22. To summarize, Zachary has a lot of work to do to convince me he's anything more than a mid to late second-round pick, or most likely a UDFA if he declares. Cameron Hunter put up decent stats at Central Arkansas, but as a 6'3" combo guard playing in the Atlantic Sun Conference, he's pretty off the radar unless he just crushes it this season. These few seconds are likely as much time as I'll spend thinking about Hunter this upcoming season. Similarly with Elijah Hawkins, a small point guard playing at Howard, even though he put up decent stats last season in most every category a point guard needs to, it's hard to imagine him getting on the NBA radar, even if he explodes production-wise. Probably too small, and just playing in the MEAC, it's hard to take him seriously. Probably would have transferred if he thought he had a shot at the NBA anyway. Let's move on. Okay, I think we're back on track with Houston Mallette from Pepperdine, who at least from a size and stats intersection, looks like he could conceivably be a legit prospect this upcoming season. Mallette's appeal right now is mostly his shooting potential. He shot near 40% on 173 three-point attempts, which is a decent sample size. He also shot 77% from the line, albeit on just 66 attempts, and shot close to 50% on 134 mid-range shots, which is impressive. Taken together, his shooting stats as a freshman are enough to make him somewhat intriguing. Mallette's playmaking stats as an off-guard are also encouraging, with a low turnover rate and an assist-to-turnover ratio almost 1.4. Areas where I'd like to see clear improvement are his stocks, which are pretty bad for his size. His usage rate being 21% is low for an archetype that most likely needs to be a decent scorer at the next level. And perhaps most damning are the paltry amount of scoring attempts he had in the interior. Just one dunk attempt on the season, which he missed, and only 29 layup attempts. In some sense, Mallette's profile reads a bit like Anthony Morrow at this juncture. If it sounds like I'm hedging my opinion on him, it's because I am. This one could go either way, and if forced to make a prediction today, I think I might lean on being out. Although, one final hedge, with an April 2003 birthday, he's still pretty young, so perhaps a little bit more benefit of the doubt is warranted here. Jao Ituka is a small, thick combo guard that played for Marist last season but is transferring to Wake Forest, which immediately makes him a bit more interesting and viable as a prospect. I don't have much to say about Ituka other than I hope his role this season is more of a point guard, because in addition to proving that he can shoot in a larger sample and against better competition, at his size I think he needs to show he can run an offense, at least at the college level. Would also like to see that steal percentage well above 2% this season. I'm pretty skeptical about his brand, but I'm sure I'll catch a few Wake games regardless, so I'll put eyes on him at some point. Our final prospect in this episode is Zachziegler. I watched Ziegler quite a bit last season at Tennessee, almost entirely as a result of eye testing Kennedy Chandler. Ziegler at times, and arguably much of the time, seemed like the better guard, which is pretty wild. He really brings it on the defensive end, and he can shoot a bit too, but alas, at 5'9", he's probably too damn small. Great college point guard, though. So I'm going to keep this pretty simple. I think in this group of 8 prospects, the ones I'm going to pay attention to most are Will Richard and Houston Mallette. And I might watch Zhao because he looks like a fun guy to watch. And I think that's probably about it, unless some of the other guys really come on and force me to watch them. Okay, folks, that's it for this episode. Please like and subscribe for more content. Leave comments if you have them, and I'll see you next time.